Hello, everyone. This is the students of S.H.I.E.L.D. broadcasting to you guys on a beautiful Friday night. Um, this is comics and clementines because that's what I'm eating right now. I'm joined. My name is Dan, and I am joined today by my other hosts.
I'm Mike.
Mhm.
And I'm Vincent. And there's not much news this week, or we just don't want to talk about it. So we're going to jump into the Hall segment. And I have three quick things. The end of last week, a whole week ago, I hit up some Southern New Jersey comic book stores. Didn't have the greatest experience, but I lucked on a few things. I found Jonah Hex Lead Poisoning, which is one of the harder to find paperbacks of this run. I found Power Girl Power Trip. So now I own all of this Power Girl run. Really the only Power Girl run ever. And I also found the most rare book in the whole stack, Fantastic Four Books of Doom by Ed Brubaker. This is like
that's a very good get.
It's like a Doctor Doom origin story. Kind of wish I had it in a paperback. Even though that sounds stupid, I like a lot of format uniformity, but I found it in some formats, so I'll take it until Marvel inevitably reprints it. But I mean, I found it in some like dingy stores, so I paid cover price for it, which was just $20. So I'll take it. That's what I bought. What about you guys?
I got I've been on a Green Arrow kick lately, just finishing the Smith run, and then I read Archer's Quest earlier this week. I grabbed Green Arrow Year One because by Andy Diggle and Jock.
Nice.
Cool. Anything else, Mike, or no?
No, that was it.
Okay. I just got a few small trades over the weekend. I got the all new Guardians of the Galaxy by Jerry Dugan, Volume 2. So I got that.
Is it Dugan or Duggan? There's two
Duggan?
G's there.
Is it Duggan? Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. It's Duggan. I got Saga Volume 2 paperback. Got it for $4 at a store, which I thought was pretty good. Still haven't started any Saga. I know it's overrated, whatever. And I also picked up the second trade of Nick Spencer's Steve Rogers Captain America run. So now I have those three trades. I'm not sure if there's any more after that, but
just call it Nazi Cap.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's called. And then the last thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I believe both series kind of converged during Secret Empire, and I think there's a trade called Captain America Secret Empire, which collects issues from both Sam and Steve's series. I think that's how it works.
Yeah, because I think I had the other three trades of Sam Wilson stuff, so I'll have to get that eventually. And the last thing I got was from a coworker at work again. I bought another statue, and this one is Riri Williams. I got this for like $20. So yeah. So now I've not read a single comic with her in it. I don't think so. But I have her statue. What'd you say?
Do you hate women?
I do not hate women.
Do you hate blacks?
I do not hate blacks. I love every type of person.
Not bad for $20.
No, not bad at all.
Nah, they usually go for 45 online. So
cool. Tomorrow, I plan, if I get out of bed at a reasonable hour, there's a place in Philly, actually. I think it's in Northeast Philly. And I guess it's a comic store, but it's more like a warehouse thing. And I just saw like a post on Instagram, and they're like, all of these boxes are dollar bins. And I'm like, I've never heard of this store in my life. Well, I have because it's on my stupid map, but like I've never been there. So I'm gonna try and hit that up tomorrow and see what trash obscure Ghost Rider appearances I can come away with for $1. And so if I end up actually going and find some stuff, tune in next week to see me run through a lightning round of whatever I picked up there.
Nice.
So I believe Mike is going to walk us through our retro book.
Yes, was what was it? From the Marvel Now. Was this Marvel Now?
It's
Or
like
was this all
barely
new Marvel?
No, it's actually just barely pre-Marvel Now. It's one of a few books that launched before Marvel Now, but then adopted the banner at some point. Like Matt Fraction's Hawkeye is the same way. It actually predates Marvel Now, and Rick Remender's Venom, and some other books, obviously.
All right. So, but anyway, we're looking at Gambit number 11 from James Asmus, and then penciled by Clay Mann with Paco Medina. So, interesting. The biggest takeaway for me on this book, number one, was looking at early Clay Mann art, and in a short amount of time, how much he's grown as an artist has been kind of amazing. Where this is a lot rougher here, especially with his characters that are in the background. They're not as detailed. And then you look at something like Heroes in Crisis, and his pages are just beautiful. So that's kind of fun to look at. But basic plot of this issue, Gambit's been running around with this other girl since him and Rogue are on a break. And he's he's robbing from Tombstone, and they're stranded out in the snow. And then Rogue comes there, and then you have the big confrontation between the three of them. They get attacked. So you get a fun team up with Rogue. Tombstone's getting information out of this guy, and the girl runs off with I think they're Rogue's Avengers Quinjet, since that was she was part of the Uncanny Avengers at that point. So, and that was pretty much it. So they're left stranded there on the way.
Yeah, and she gets her throat slashed in the very end as well.
Yeah.
Pretty much same thoughts as you. The art's not fantastic. I thought the writing was all right. It doesn't really impress. And there was a few cool or fun sequences. The one splash page where Rogue is throwing cards, having absorbed Remy's powers, is fun.
Yeah, that was probably the fight scenes were all good. But yeah, this is what for at the end of the day, forgettable.
Yeah, that's kind of how I read it. It's pretty much just a small team up with Rogue and Gambit to do what we don't know. So, yeah.
All right. That's all we have to say. Next,
that's it. It was like I don't have a lot to say on it.
Next week,
I'm not going panel by panel on breaking that down.
Next week, I swear to God, this is just the random number generator. We got the same exact year, month, and company as our Sergeant Fury book from a bit ago. But this time, from May 1964 from Marvel, we will be reading Tales of Suspense number 54. So the bulk of this will be an Iron Man story by Stan Lee and Don Heck. And we're going to read a Watcher story and some totally filler backup.
Mike looks so happy to read this.
Oh my God.
Captain America's not back yet. So I'm a little excited, I guess.
I mean, I'm more excited for that than some other books we could have gotten, but I am a little worried now because that Sergeant Fury issue was not that great.
So on to the books of the week. First, we're going to go through some Marvel stuff. And alphabetically, we have B for Bastard. I've been watching some Game of Thrones. Lots of bastards on that. Dan, what starts with B?
B starts with Black Cat starts with a B. So this is written by Jed McKay and Travel Foreman. That's his name?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. So yeah, so I'm not sure what that's his name. That's what's on the front cover.
You're burying this man's name.
I'm sorry. Anyway, just one thing I want to note before I get into this issue. I had a coworker who collects like single issues, and he's like super into like collecting variants and stuff. I mean, I'm not really into that stuff, but he brought in like 5 or 6 variants of this like issue to me, like signed and stuff from like the artist and all and the writer and stuff. I mean, he paid like 200 plus bucks for that. I just thought it's cool to note. I mean, I don't know if this is like the first Black Cat ongoing or whatever, but yeah. So pretty much we open with Felicia Hardy walking into a gala, whatever art type of exhibit, and she's she walks in, and this guy in security basically notices her because he's, I guess, worked with her in the past, or he notices her from like other things that she's robbed from, and the guy behind him's like telling her like, we need to arrest her and all this stuff, and the other guy's like, don't worry, like, she's not going to do anything, she's right in plain sight, she's not going to steal anything right now. And the guy mentions how all these people that are around like serving food and stuff were all hired off of a temp agency, and this guy starts freaking out because he's like, we're supposed to vet these people and make sure they're not shady people. And then while at the gala, she runs into this other person who's part of this guild that I guess the Black Cat worked for, that she was supposed to supply, stolen artifacts to, and she doesn't. She kind of like how Star-Lord did in the Guardians movie, like he was supposed to deliver something to the Ravagers and he took it for himself. So she kind of runs into that in this gala, ends up stealing a piece of art like she always does, and escaping with 2 undercover temp workers that were serving drinks and stuff at the party. And then we get a really cool chase scene. We get backgrounds on 2 of her accomplices, and we get her changing in the back of the car and fighting ninjas on the top of the car that were from the guild that was mentioned in the beginning of this issue. And then she finally gets back to her hideout, celebrating with her 2 what do you call whatever those guys are, and finds out that this buyer of the artifact is actually the Black Fox, which I think was from the Amazing Spider-Man issues, right? Wasn't he like an older like gentleman who used to steal like stuff as well? Yeah. So I remember him in that.
Is it the Assassin's Guild?
What was it?
Yeah, I'm asking you a question.
Let me scroll up real quick. It just says for the guild. It doesn't say anything.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know. But
because that would be relevant to Gambit.
Yeah, it could be. It
probably also
is.
be relevant to Spencer's Amazing Spider-Man, where we had a whole arc with Felicia and the Assassin's Guild.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think this is a pretty cool issue. Good way to open up the story, kind of setting up a few things, and interesting. I might keep following this. This seems like a cool series. So,
what did you think of Charles Foreman's art?
I like it. I mean, I think the close-ups of like Felicia's face are a little weird. I'm not a big fan of like that. I mean, but I think as the issue goes on, I know this sounds weird, but like as it goes on, it gets a little bit better, I think. And like there's one splash page with her dressed up in the whole Black Cat getup, and I think it's really good. So yeah, it takes some getting used to. I don't think I've read anything with this art before, so it was good.
Cool. Next, Hulk Last Call. This is one of Marvel's 80th anniversary celebration one-shots, reuniting previous big deal creative teams, critically acclaimed fan favorite teams. And Hulk, as far as people who are still alive and somewhat still like in the past of Hulk, there's only one choice really, is Peter David. I mean, Greg Pak is still keeps dredging up his run. I mean, he's writing Amadeus Cho in his Agents of Atlas stuff right now, and was writing a Hulk book not too long ago, and Weapon H and all that shit. So he never really left. So your option, as far as big names, is Peter David. And Peter David had a humongous decade-plus year-long run. So lots of artists to choose from as well. They're not going to get Todd McFarlane. They're not going to get Liam Sharp, who's preoccupied. So Dale Kuhn draws this issue, creator of the Pit, or I think it's just Pit.
Yeah, it's just Pit.
I guess I think this is the first one that's come out, right? As far as these shots.
Unless we talk about the briefly want to mention the throwback, like the love and romance or the war ones.
Yeah, those are, it's like a different set of anniversary one shots. So this is the first one. This issue is set during Peter David's run.
Yeah, it reminds me of the DC retroactive issues, if you remember those, where you'd get a new story in the front that would connect back to a story that then was reprinted in the back. So you got 2 issues in one.
Yeah. But I found that interesting. I figured it was just going to be like a very loose continuity, but present set one with like the Immortal Hulk. But this is set towards the end of his run when Dale Kuhn was not drawing it. So Betty is dead at this point, poisoned through radiation, or however that works, radiation poisoning from the Abomination, or at least that's what we thought at the time. And Bruce is all depressed because of that, calls up the suicide hotline. And then in the very back of this issue, Marvel shows you the actual suicide hotline, if that's helpful to you. And so he's talking to this suicide hotline person and tells her how he's tried all these different suicide methods, but the Hulk always comes out. He tries to slit his wrist. He tries to jump into the Grand Canyon. He tries to take pills. None of it works. But somehow he thinks if he hires an assassin to shoot him when he tells the assassin to, that's going to work. Doesn't make any sense.
I think it's because I think Bruce's thought method is, I can't kill myself, but someone else can kill me.
I guess, but he knows that's not true. But then we basically get some flashbacks of the Hulk's history while he's recounting his life to the hotline person. His first time meeting Betty, their marriage, and we just see the splash page of them at the altar. So we don't get to see 2 of the most important attendees of the marriage. Oh, fuck, I'm thinking of the wrong marriage. I'm thinking of Rick Jones and Marlo Chandler's wedding, where Rom shows up, and also Death from Sandman.
I mean, Rick Jones, though, did serve as Bruce's best man at the wedding, though.
Yeah. And he asks, what if the Hulk never existed? How would everyone's life be different? Betty would be married to Brian Talbot. Her father may be president of the United States. Rick Jones may be a famous rock star. And we get a fight with Betty as the Harpy, which is interesting because I'm not reading the book ongoing, but I know there's some Harpy stuff in Immortal Hulk.
She's Red Harpy now.
Yeah. And Bruce eventually he hears someone else on the phone, and the hotline worker has a stalker. And so Bruce runs over, and it's Mr. Hyde, and the Hulk just beats the fuck out of him. And in the end, it's a Christmas story, and it's snowing in Reno, Nevada somehow. And the reveal at the end is that the hired killer that Bruce was going to attempt to kill himself with is Deadpool. Which, whatever. It didn't bother me at all.
I mean, it's not like Peter David's not written Deadpool. He's snuck Deadpool into kind of little cameo appearances throughout his tenure of writing comics. I believe he's the one that started the thing where Siren has like an on again, off again relationship with Deadpool.
And then the back of the book also recommends you pick up Hulk Visionaries volumes 5 through 8, which number 1.
Yeah, not because 1 through 4 are all out of print.
Well, actually, I think it's some of the later volumes which are out of print. I'll often find like 1 and 2. I'm not sure precisely which ones are the hardest to find, but you wouldn't be able to find all 4 of these very easily. And they give you the single issues, but also, if you're wise, you can wait, because Marvel has officially announced the Hulk by Peter David Omnibus Volume 1, and presumably they'll put out at least a Volume 2 to cover the rest of this Visionary stuff, which is out of print, and that would cover all this stuff. I really enjoyed this book. I mean, it was one-off while also tying into this past run. Dale Kuhn, pretty great on art. Pretty clean art, too, compared to what he was like way in the past. And it was fun. Fun little window to the past.
I really enjoyed this. This was fun. It wasn't. I mean, it was fun going back after I've been reading Immortal Hulk and not having full real access to Peter David's run, but only knowing like the highlights and snippets from places. It was fun to get what kind of to me is a little small tease until January 2020, where I can get that first omnibus in my hands. But I really like this. I liked the art. I liked the story. I liked the fact that it was almost kind of a highlight reel of the Hulk. So it's anyone can kind of come and pick this up, which is nice. But yeah, definitely a fun throwback.
Yep. It's Marvel Team Up time.
Yep, it is Marvel Team Up number 3. So this will finish out the Spider-Man and Ms. Marvel Team Up. This is by Eve L. Ewing and Joey Vasquez with Moy R. on art. Remember we left off. It's a classic body swap story, but now no longer Spidey and Kamala aren't phasing back in like they were. So they got to track down the Doctor. You get some fun moments of them bantering on the roof, which are pretty fun. But they're also having like the moments of like, what if we never go? What if we never switch back again? Which it's like we know you're switching back by the end of this. But they eventually track down the Jackal. They beat them. It's still fun seeing them use their different powers in their bodies. So that's pretty fun. That's always been maintained, I think, throughout the story is the fun of watching Kamala try to use Spidey powers and Spidey try to use Kamala's powers. Also, Spidey was putting on lip gloss in Kamala's body, which weirded Kamala out. So got weird things like that too. But hey, it's fun. At the end, they, like I said, they beat the Jackal, they free the Doctor. She switches on the machine, which is the same machine that we saw from the beginning of Nick Spencer's run on Amazing Spider-Man that split Spidey into Peter and just the pure Spider-Man, if you remember that. Or did you not read that first arc?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, we saw that. So it all connects back to that. This is like very much set in current Marvel continuity, which is fun. And when they go back into each other's bodies, they don't remember that they were in each other's bodies. It just seems like they had dreams. So, and then it equates back to their time of thinking, oh, I wanted to be, because Peter wanted to remember what it was like to be young again, and Kamala wanted to try to grow up too fast and be older. So this was fun. And then the Doctor, while she turned on the machine, she got powers. So we'll see if that sticks around and if she makes an appearance later on. But the next arc in this book is Kamala and Captain Marvel, and it's by a different creative team. So I don't think we might not get back to this Doctor character. So we'll see what happens. This is all right. This could have been solved in 2 issues. This did not need 3 for me. That's my take. I really hope that we don't need to do 3-issue arcs on Marvel Team Up. Anything more than 2 for me is kind of like pushing it.
Yeah, I feel like in the same vibe as what you said. I mean, this is just like, I feel like this captures a lot of like what the original Marvel team up books were about. Like just a fun team up issue with 2 favorite characters, and just some great moments to share between the 2 characters. I thought it was good. I mean, I didn't read the other 2 parts of the story. I just came in at the very end of it, but I mean, kind of just pieced together what happens. The art was really good. I mean, I thought that also made it really legible. Readable.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Meet the Scrolls wraps up this week. Do you think Captain Marvel is still in theaters anywhere? That's way too old, right? Yeah, no, there's no way. Because that's
Maybe it's some like dollar theaters. Maybe
pretty
some dollar theaters.
Didn't it come out? Didn't it come out on digital this week?
Came out in digital last week. I think physicals this week.
Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
the scrolls are still relevant. This is the finale of the miniseries. At the end of the last issue, the family, they were breaking out of the facility, but the father was betrayed by their boss, Moloth, I think is his name, the like boss scroll for their sector. And so the rest of the family's split off from him. So the rest of the family escapes, gets home, and the father's already there. They think that he may have even died or something, but he's there. Everyone's fine. And then the father basically goes and puts all of his daughters to sleep by actually just shocking them. And it turns out, of course, this is Moleth, and the dad died last issue. But Alice, the original like main character, the interesting child, turns into a butterfly and escapes and finds her real father's body. So she comes back to fuck up Moleth by hitting him with a van. And it's kind of funny. I feel like this, maybe it was just in the previous issue of this, but I feel like this also happened in some other series. Tony Stark as Iron Man shows up in this and is just kind of like, what's going on? And is totally ineffective. Oh, that was, what were we reading, Mike? What were we reading where that happened? Where Tony Stark is just totally ineffective. Where like Iron Man shows up, but he's too late. And he's not. What?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was something though. It was funny that time
Was
too.
it something recent?
What?
Was it something recent
That we discussed on the show? I don't remember, but
was it War of the Realms?
No. But Iron Man is in this and ineffective, and because like the Skrull family, they all work for Stark, in their human forms. And it turns out the weird goggles guy from the previous issues who was going around shocking people, he's a Kree. And it's like revealed, like he speaks in Kree. It shows Kree translation, and that's like a reveal. But, you know, then the series is over. And there's kind of, there's like an editorial in the back. It's kind of a tease that Alice Warner, the like focal character, may appear again in a high profile book. It's the kind of thing where they're like, she's never going to appear again. She definitely won't appear in a major book that everyone's reading. And
Cue
so
up the fact that she'll be in Champions or in Tony Stark Iron Man as a
I don't
helping out.
those are probably the likely candidates, or Fantastic Four, or you know what? I didn't even really look at the announcements that much. She could be in the new FF book. That would be a pretty.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. And like, I kind of like the character, and honestly, I really like the Skrulls. As soon as they announced that Fantastic Four was coming back, I really wanted to see Elijah again, the Human Torch's Skrull sort of ex-wife. I think Skrulls are really cool. They have a very distinct design.
Well, you also think a very specific set of Skrulls are very cool, though.
Yes, the Krallian Skrulls, the gangster Skrulls. All right, and
so I mean, I just want to say, this does wrap it up. Would you recommend getting this in trade?
To be honest, not really. Unless you find it
started hot and it kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that. Like, it wasn't exactly what I expected and wanted. Like, I was expecting like this, like tight-knit character focus on this girl Alice, but it became way more about the whole family and like wider Skrull stuff that I don't care much about. If Alice starts showing up in other places, then maybe that adds an extra dimension of like reading value to this. I mean, otherwise, I thought actually the book was executed very well, and I love the art throughout. So if you find it cheap, like $4 or $5 or something at a Second Charles or Books a Million or something down the line, I'd pick it up. But I'm not going to rush to get it. And the fact that I read it already, I'm probably not going to pick it up and trade.
Okay.
But speaking of books where maybe this little scroll girl could appear, since her entire family worked for Stark Industries, Iron Man is a book that starts with T nowadays.
Yeah. So get into Tony Stark Iron Man number 12. So just picking up back where we left off, Tony's kind of recovering from the whole screw up.
Alcoholism?
What'd say?
He's recovering from alcoholism?
No,
First
not,
off,
not
you should
this
say
time.
that you should lead in with the fact that this has the War of the Realms banner on it, and that this issue is not written by Dan Slott.
Yeah, it's written by is that Gail Simone?
Yeah, it's Gail Simone.
Okay, got it right. Yay. So so there's a War of Realms tie-in on the front, and so we take a whole detour from everything that Dan Slott was doing to get like a brief cutscene from Jotunheim where
With Malekith.
Malekith comes down and talks to this like dragon being and kind of just like dicks around with him and talks to him, and then this dragon guy's like, don't fuck with me because if you remember, Agamotto used to have two eyes, and then he just goes on and yells at Malekith, and he just laughs. And then we cut back to Stark Unlimited, where Tony is constructing a new armor that basically looks like the Hulk, but it's not the Hulk, and it has like this weird like headband around it that kind of reminds me of Baron Zemo's like headdress he used to wear back in like the 1960s with like the purple mask and everything. It kind of looks
Yellow crown on top of it.
yeah, the yellow crown looks exactly like that. So him and Tony are kind of going back or Rhodey and Tony are going back and forth talking about, how Tony's back to constructing these mechs and artificial intelligence, and Rhodey's like, isn't this what got you in trouble the last time when you tried to create motherboard and the controller hacked into it and got all this stuff? So basically what Tony's going over with Rhodey is that he developed this like headband that Bruce Banner can wear on his head or on his arms that would control him from not turn into the Hulk. So it's kind of like this armor is like a backup situation, but the headband would be worn. I don't know why like he would think that Bruce Banner would wear a headband around the whole time and that would control him from being the Hulk. Anyway, they try testing.
This doesn't make any sense considering what happened in Immortal Hulk, where the Avengers tried to stop him and they used a giant nuclear weapon on him and it still didn't do anything to him. Like,
yeah, I have no idea. I mean, it's kind of weird because like they try testing it on like this armor and then it backfires. Everything goes to shit, and then Rhodey's like, told you so. And then we cut to so Tony basically leaves. He's like, I need to go back to my, private place and just go in the pool and relax. And this guy named, I don't know how you say his name, Sadurang. I don't know if that's how you say his name. He's like some sort of he's the dragon in disguise pretty much. He comes in to Stark Unlimited and he's like, I need to see Stark, and then he just starts killing people. Tony's in the pool chilling and he decides that he's going to test this headband on himself. And then this guy turns into this dragon that we saw at the beginning of the issue and just starts wrecking shit. And Bethany, who's the head of security, I guess, of Stark Unlimited, is basically trying to get people to help out. So Rhodey goes into like this armor mech to take down this dragon. We get Dr. Shapiro, who is apparently a cat. I have no idea who that is, but it's she's a cat, I guess, that can talk, and she jumps into like this mechanized cat armor to go fight this dragon. This is so they're basically just trying to hold down the fort until Tony shows up and gets the KO strike. We get a few nice splash pages of him in the armor fighting this dragon, and then the dragon basically escapes like a little bitch. And then at the end, Bethany and Rhodey catch up to Tony, and they're like, "You're leaking magic." And then he's like, "Wait." Like he's leaking magic from his armor, and then I guess that ties into War of Realms. I don't know what to really think of this issue. It's definitely out there, but I mean, I followed it at least, so there's that.
So
It seems like the next issue is another tie-in, though.
Oh God. Okay. Well, we'll see how it goes. I might be even more confused next issue.
Sounds pretty ridiculous.
It is.
Are you gonna end up? Never mind. So next, Uncanny X-Men number 19. The Matthew Rosenberg slaughter continues, sort of. I don't think no one really, or never mind. Someone dies in this issue.
I was gonna say Vanisher got turned into goop.
We have 3 artists here. None huge names. None are Salvador LaRocca, which is weird because I feel like Salvador LaRocca was on like first 5 or 6 issues straight.
Yeah, he was.
The past few we've had a bunch, and so to me that says maybe they moved him to a book that's not going to end in 2 issues.
Yeah. Me also. Ever since the House of X, Powers of X announcement came, and they're basically ending the whole line. This whole book to me just feels like it's whatever. And it's just placeholding until July at this point.
Yeah. But one of those artists is Bob Q, who we are a fan of on this show, even though I don't think we've ever talked about his work. But I don't really know specifically which pages he drew.
Yeah, I don't know what pages Bob Q drew in this because nothing looks like Bob Q's art here.
May have been, 3 artists may have been a bit of a rush job. Emma Frost is the Black King of the Hellfire Club now. As we know, that goes back to Leah Williams' X-Men Black Emma Frost one-shot way back. And she's attacked by X-Men robots, I guess. And there's a General Callahan who shows up and turns Vanisher, one of her Goonies, to goop. Vanisher is just he's actually a super, super old character. This is Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, but he doesn't matter at all. She's being held prisoner by this general, basically, and it's also revealed that there's a cure, and she's let free just to roam. And she goes shopping with Marrow. Oh wait, I think we see Vanisher die twice. I don't know. Vanisher doesn't die till later. Emma goes shopping with Marrow, and also has Vanisher and Elixir with her. And the general shows back up. That's when Vanisher gets turned to goop, and Emma's blackmailed into working for him. And in the meantime, she finds out that Scott Summers, Cyclops, is back alive, and she still loves him from back, dating back to a new X-Men, and kind of ending in his death, even though their relationship was a little rocky during the Bendis era. And so she goes to talk to Scott, but she's actually not. She's sitting across a booth table from him, talking to him, staring right at him, but she's using her powers so that he doesn't see her, doesn't hear her. So it's entirely pointless. And then she finds Logan and brainwashes him. Basically, she forces him to work with Scott and reform the X-Men, and also wipes both their minds so that neither of them remember who she is, which is kind of weird and sort of pointless because, like, all of the other X-Men characters know who she is, and that's where, like, the big weirdness at the end of the last issue came from.
Yeah, well, only that, too. Like, she's been revealed that she's the one that's been pulling the strings for why everything that's happened has happened up to this point, and my biggest question is, why?
I mean, she's doing it on the command of the general, I guess. That's the idea.
Well, no, she's trying to do it not at the command of him by that point. She's trying to do the I'm planning 10 steps ahead so I can beat him thing.
Yeah. And so she ended up capturing Mr. Sinister from previous issues, who is written maybe a tad too campy, and I think I said that last time, but Rosenberg's Sinister is a little off for me. And in the end, Logan shows up with Revanche and remembers who Emma is, I guess. and is gonna fight some stuff. This was a meh issue for me. Obviously, I don't care about Vanisher compared to the other pointless deaths so far. Art was super inconsistent. The voice on Sinister was off for me. I really enjoyed the actual Emma and Scott scenes, and that was about it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. This was, like I said, it's also hard for me to care about this book still, knowing it's on its basically a lifeline at this point. It's on life support, and we know when it's gonna get killed. I do find it weird that we get in the back of the book we got the ads for House of X, Powers of X. Did you notice the Wolverine and Captain America Weapon Plus
No.
one where it's Wolverine and Cap and like the back to tank looking thing with like the cybernetic helmet, and I was like, oh, this looks bad.
But yeah, I think I did hear about that. I'm pretty worried. All right, it's event time. What is Jason screwing up now?
This was almost my pick of the week.
I don't know how.
War of the Realms #5.
I mean, we got the splash page with Kazar, so that moves it up like 2 stars for me, but that still goes from a 0 to a 2.
I mean, I think this was my favorite issue so far. It's the issue where the heroes are starting to turn the tide and take everything back. Daredevil's showing Thor what he has to do, and it's basically rebuilding the world tree on the sun for some reason. But then we get, like the rest of all of these issues, we get a highlight of basically a rundown what everyone else is doing. For some reason, I'm kind of delighted by the Punisher commanding a bunch of light elves and his solution is just giving them a bunch of machine guns. The book has jumped the shark at this point. Well, it jumped the shark when Odin got Iron Man armor, but I'm having fun with it. Like, I'm having fun with Balder the Brave driving Ghost Rider's hot rod as Doctor Strange is leaning out the side window chopping at stuff with axes. It's fun. Or Spider-Man controlling a bunch of giant spiders from a hell dimension. Like, if you don't take this too seriously, it is actually pretty fun. Brew also shows up from that's from Aaron's Wolverine and the X-Men run, so it was fun to see him again for a second. Vince, I'm guessing, glitched out, so he can't groan at me right now. So I'll wait till he comes back.
No, I mean, I'm groaning just silently.
Okay. Well, yeah, all it showed for me was like your picture was standing still, so I assumed you weren't here. But we get a big moment with well, first off, I guess Wolverine's not part of the Warriors 3 now because he's fighting with Hogan and is it Fandral?
Fandral?
Yeah, Fandral. Iron Man's finally back in the fight with War Machine. And the Fantastic Four get to see some action.
No,
I like the moment.
Iron Man is not back in the fight with War Machine. He's given War Machine armor to the dwarves.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's hilarious.
I only saw the one gray and black armor, and I was like, yeah, I look up. Oh yeah, there's like 5 of them.
Yeah, and they're really small.
Yeah. I like Captain Britain wielding the ebony blade with fighting alongside Cap. That's cool. Volstagg mentally controlling the destroyer armor is fun.
Yeah.
We get this awesome shot of Thor basically moving around so fast that he's a factor in all the fights. But I don't understand how he's in 2 places at once, as he's here, and then it cuts back to the sun now, where he's rebuilding the world tree on the sun. I don't know how he's in 2 places at once.
I don't know. It's probably out of order.
Yeah, it has to be because I looked back to the issue twice, trying to find like if there was a timestamp to show it, but there wasn't. On that previous part, but Malekith has Freya and Odin trained up at Stonehenge, and the only person that's allowed to get through this impenetrable wall he's put up is a Thor. We cut back to Jane, who is striking. She strikes us a bit like a stick on the ground, assuming that she's going to become Thor one last time, but it very easily could be Valkyrie. But the cover of the next one is all of the Thors from Jason Aaron's run, looks like, are teaming up for this big grand finale. So I would not be surprised if that really is Jane becoming Thor for one last go here. Whatever. I thought this was fun. I mean, I enjoyed this issue more than any of the other ones.
I just shrugged through it.
Where's Beta Ray Bill is my question. I guess he's on the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, but I'd like to see him here too.
Yeah, he's off doing what he should be doing, I guess. I mean, I don't think we've seen any of the Guardians at all in this event, which is good because for many years we had the problem of the Guardians in all these stupid events like Civil War 2. I read
Well, Guardians of War 2, right? Where that was right in the middle of the Grounded storyline, so that was even worse.
I read Black Hammer 45, number 4. This is, I'm pretty certain, the final issue. It's definitely the final issue. So in Germany, or actually I think we're in Vienna, or I don't know.
Nazi occupied territory.
The one Black Hammer dude is driving out the rocket scientists while dodging the Nazi ace pilots and the Russian mechas. And another Black Hammer squadron guy hijacks a plane by shooting a grappling hook on the wing, then flying up and hijacking the plane while it's flying. It's kind of awesome. And then there's some really fun dogfighting art. And a third guy comes out of nowhere to save him, but still crashes. He gets shot by the Nazi who's crashed. Then there's a shootout with the Russian, where the Russian and one of the other guys dies, and the Russian's mech self-destructs. But the last remaining guy gets away with the rocket scientist family. And then we cut back to the present, which has been the framing device throughout. And there's a funeral or a memorial. I'm not certain because it's like way in the future, not right after World War II. So I guess some kind of anniversary of the guy's death or a memorial. And we see the huge crowd of all the people he saved and affected and who fought alongside him. And the Black Hammer will never be forgotten, and that's the end. I really enjoyed this series. The art particularly is really, really fun. And just the cool World War II action, but with crazy superhero and ridiculous twists like Nazi werewolves and ace pilots and Russian mechas. It's fun.
I'd say I think it's kind of neat that this series concludes the week of the 75th anniversary of D-Day. That was probably planned, but definitely neat that has it now. It kind of has that little thing that it shares with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer number 5. That's a segue, isn't it? Jordi Belair still writing. David Lopez on art here, not Dan Mora.
Mora got moved to whatever Kieran Gillen's book is called at Boom. Some kind of Viking book, I think, or something.
Which is disappointing because the art is a step down in quality, I hate to say. Particularly when it comes to faces, really rough looking faces. Specifically with eyes here. Like a lot of like derpy, dopey looking faces in this book now. But we saw the last issue of Xander getting bitten by Drusilla. Buffy gets a call from Giles while she's hanging out with Willow. He's got Xander chained up. He's not fully a vampire because Drusilla stopped like midway through. So they got like an incantation up or drawn around the bed trying to save him. Or Buffy's going to have to go out and stop Drusilla and Spike, as their plan is to turn all the men of Sunnydale into an army for Drusilla, which is interesting. Jenny Calendar's here. She's one of the teachers in the high school. She got killed in season 2 of the show. She ended up helping out the Scooby Gang a little bit. But I think this is her first appearance here, and like she knows magic here, so she's the one that like put up the magic barrier, so a possessed Xander can't do anything. But yeah, Buffy's gonna have to go out and save Xander here, and we got back to Anya, who they're looking for this magical dagger who Buffy's mom has at her museum that she's curating, which they ended up and Spike and Drew have the part of the spell they got from Anya's magic shop. They need this dagger to help it, and Buffy's mom has it. So looks like that Spike and Drew are gonna go after Buffy's mom, and Buffy's gonna have to go save her mom. And probably, I'm guessing Buffy's mom's gonna find out that she's a vampire slayer because she doesn't know currently right now in this book. But this is still fun and still good. I'm not gonna keep long on it. I've talked about how I think it's a fun and fresh and reboot that remains like stays true, but also is different enough from the start.
Cool. Dan, how was your first experience with Criminal?
It was actually really good. I really, really want to keep reading this series because I was really hooked with this first issue of this new story arc. Yeah, it's written by Ed Brubaker, drawn by Sean Phillips, colors by Jacob Phillips.
It's his
Oh, that's his son?
Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool. So we open up with a private investigator or detective called Dan Faraday. It's talking about him. He's sitting in a bar, goes over to this woman, and it's pretty innocent at first, just chilling, talking, trying to get to know this woman here at this bar. She doesn't really want anything to do with it, and then he buys her a drink, and she finds out that he's a private investigator, and then we basically start with that. That basically opens up the issue because she is the woman that he has been trying to find. And pretty much the rest of this issue is him just going through tracking down this woman. Pretty much she's a mistress for this guy. I forget what his name is. Mr. Wyndham? Mr. Wyndham? I think that's what it is.
Something with a W.
Yeah, something with a W. And anyway, she's this guy's mistress, and he wants to track her down because he wants to talk to her, tell her how he really feels about her. And we basically get commentary from Faraday the rest of this issue about how he was able to track it down, and he gets to the point where we come back to the first scene in the movie in the issue where he finds her in the bar and goes to take her somewhere else, and as he's walking in the parking lot to take her into his car, he gets whacked over the head, and he hears as he's coming to a name called Teague, and that kind of just leads him towards the next stage of his investigation where he's pretty much back at square one now, trying to find where this woman ran off to. During the bar scene, Dan recalls a story that he had back when he fought in Vietnam, and that kind of wins over this woman towards like who he is as a person, and it's a really good start to a new storyline, and I'm really excited to read this. So
the Vietnam story was fucked up.
It really was.
It was. But I do want to say, Sean Phillips is always his work in the Vietnam flashbacks amazing.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this series basically every issue is pretty much perfect.
Yeah, it's hard to not use this as the pick of the week every time it comes out.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me, it's definitely my pick of the week because it's just that much better than everything else I've read. So,
as far as storytelling goes, I just want to make one note, which I'll come back to later. in the Vietnam sequence, we get a splash page with just a bunch of narration panels along the side of the page. And I complained about a similar thing in Naomi, whenever the last issue of Naomi came out, because it was just, here's a splash page, here's a bunch of exposition dump. That's basically what we had here, but within the splash page, there's storytelling in the page, because the splash page, it's kind of bleeds between montage-esque almost, where we have, I believe it's them in the present day, and then it kind of bleeds into the Vietnam sequence, and there's different coloring used, and there's storytelling within the art itself as well, rather than just here's a pretty picture or like a snapshot of a scene and then exposition dump. And I'll get back to that in a later book.
I feel like the name for King Faraday, the detective's name being Faraday, is possibly a reference to King Faraday from DC Comics.
Also, Criminal Number 5 on the cover has a pull quote from Tom King. It's a pretty big deal.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, probably top 3 series that we keep up with.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is reading this in issues, I think it does feel more special because Brubaker goes above and beyond with like connecting with his audience in the back matter of the book with his write-ups of media he's consuming, with his shout-outs of recommendations and stuff. And then instead of getting a prose story in the back like normal, we actually got a sit-down conversation with him, Jason Starr, Alex Segura, and Sarah Gran, which was a lot different. I haven't sat down and read that yet, but like I think as far as like you, not only are you getting the beginning of a new story here, but also you're getting a full on like sit down conversation with the writer afterwards, which is always very cool.
Yep. I read Section 0, Number 3 from Carl Kiesel, Tom Grummett. So Sam Wildman are kind of a hothead character. His girlfriend, or his ex-girlfriend, Titania, whatever her name is, went missing at the end of the last issue through a weird circle of fire. And so he visits Curio, who is this seductive woman who runs a shop selling weird artifacts. And you call up a number on a phone, and then you just walk through any door, and that's how you get to her. And it's kind of cool. And so she tells him about he has to find this like stone circle thing, and goes down into an abandoned part of the subway, and first of all he finds a rat king, which a rat king, if you're not familiar, is when a bunch of rats, they're in such close quarters and dirty and murky conditions that their tails get like all knotted up and tied together.
Ew.
So it's just like a mess, like you know when you tangle your headphones and shit, or you throw all your electronic cords in a box and then you have to untangle them. It's like that with the rats' tails, and then the rats just like on the outside, and they like end up eating each other and stuff. It was a thing that used to happen on like ships and things like that. So he runs into a rat king, and then runs it, and then he's in the sewers, and he basically they come across this like cannibal tribe, and the leader of this tribe is also calls himself a rat king, and they eat the previous leader to absorb their like experiences and memories.
Is it the same book you've been reading? This is so far different than anything. I thought they were investigating aliens and shit.
I mean, it's kind of sort of still on that level, but his buddies show up to help, but then they all get kidnapped by the cannibals. Of course, they escape, but then some agents show up with the doctor, kind of the father figure, and Titania's father, and they say he's poisoned, so hand over the disc, and then they destroy it. But it turns out he wasn't poisoned, so they got goofed. And the end. But there are other stone discs, so there are, I think, at least 2 more or something. And so they're in a race against these agents to find them. And then when they do find them, they have to make sure the agents don't fuck them over again. So I don't know. It's definitely a book from the 2000 written by creators from the late 80s, early 90s. But it's somewhat enjoyable to me. Was Thumbs #1 enjoyable?
I guess.
And good luck.
What'd you say?
I said good luck.
Yeah. So Thumbs, part 1 of 5, written by Sean Lewis, art by Hayden Sherman. So we basically get one thing I want to note for this issue is that it's pretty much all in grayscale and then pink, highlights throughout. So a little bit different in terms of mood.
Yeah, it's kind of like Neo Tech kind of it. The rundown press of this is it's trying to be like a dystopian kind of future-esque book, kind of like a Blade Runner, a little
Yeah.
bit. So that's why we got the color palette. But I just want to say, I liked the color palette, but
Oh yeah. I think the color palette was good. I thought I think the art's half decent. I mean, it's a different.
no, I
It's
like
a,
the art too.
yeah, it's a lot of line work and stuff like that, but I think it's pretty good. So pretty much we open with a truck that's driving across like this barren wasteland, and then out of this truck we get a woman that's pushing this like medical cart through this hospital or like this building, whatever. And again, just like Criminal, we kind of like get the ending of the story before we get the actual what happened. So as I guess this is a future society, like Mike said, dystopians type of thing. So as they're getting pushed through this guy is just like I guess dying on this bed here, and this woman's pushing him through like this area. All these people are asking like, what happened to this guy? Why is he hurt like this? And then she tells these screens, please just tell all these people what happened to him, and we get a recap of exactly what happened. So it seems to me like this is a society where it's kind of like Hunger Games, but like they play video games to like in real life or whatever, and they show like the replay from this woman's perspective of this guy fighting, and he tries throwing a grenade or something, and these guys end up shooting him or killing him or something, and he ends up like being passed out and almost dead. And these people, like as they're seeing this being recapped, they're commenting on it, like, "What a dumbass! Like, why would he not check for there? Like, he's not as good of a fighter as he thinks he is, and all this stuff." And this woman's like, "He's literally dying. Like, can you not talk about him right now?" And yeah, she brings him to this hospital. He gets helped on, and then they actually have to put him into like cryogenic suspension until they can figure out like how to heal him. And then we get a flashback to like a trailer park where we have our main character whose name is Thumbs. That's his nickname because he was, I guess, really good on playing video games. His thumbs, like his dexterity was good. And he's grown up in a trailer park with his sister, whose name I cannot remember, and this like holographic mother, like robot figure. I guess the mom and dad are away working like their asses off, so they can't like care for the kids at all. So pretty much, this guy's Thumbs's childhood was growing up in this trailer park with his little sister and this holographic thing. So we get a good flashback to that. We see Thumbs taking first place in like all of these matches online, and then eventually what happens is if he's good enough, he gets granted to go to like this school or whatever. And it's kind of like Hunger Games. He pretty much is like hunting people. He dives down to kill this one woman, and then she actually turns around and hits him straight in the balls. We get a nice splash page of her kicking him like right in the groin. And then everyone jokes about it, whatever. And that's pretty. I mean, pretty much that's the end of the story. I mean, we come back to present day and what happened with him, on that mission, I guess. And he wakes up, and he's actually, I think, like 5 years older. He's been in that cryogenic suspension for that long, and since that time, like America's gone to shit, and I think like the U.S. government like doesn't like these people doing this stuff or whatever. They've been targeting people for treason and things. So he's woken up to a much more fucked up world than he had when he got hurt. So that's kind of where we're left at the end of the issue. I don't know if anyone else wants to say anything else about that.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a kind of a Big Brother-esque thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm at least going to stick around for issue 2.
Yeah, same here.
I did not read it. I flipped through it real quickly at the store, and art looked pretty great.
Yeah, the art's definitely the highlight, especially with the coloring.
Oh, definitely. Yep.
It's very cyberpunk. I like it like that.
Now over to some rapid fire DC. I read Batman 72, which is literally just a recap of the past 70 issues.
Well, give or take the button and the price.
Yeah, I mean, some stuff is not really addressed much.
Yeah, the Poison Ivy stuff isn't addressed at all.
Well, we see Poison Ivy for one page with Harley.
Well, we see a lot of people for one page.
Yeah, so this is someone narrating Tom King's arc, and it's supposed to be like this. I guess it's revealed at the end that it's Thomas Wayne, Flashpoint Batman.
Well, I knew it was Thomas Wayne the whole time while I was reading it.
Yeah, it's super obvious from page 1, but in like the final page acts like it's supposed to be a reveal.
I don't think it's supposed to be a reveal. I think it's just like, all right, now we're getting to this part. But because we've been teasing Thomas Wayne over the last like 4 issues, so
yeah, so the issue is Thomas Wayne recapping Tom King's arc to Bane, and basically, I mean, a lot of this stuff was known already and subtle, but I guess he's kind of tying together the strings as far as Bane's machinations and how he's manipulated Batman through the run, and
how Batman was able to beat him with a headbutt.
Yeah, exactly what happened throughout it. And the end is Flashpoint Batman saying, "How can I help you fuck up my alternate universe son?" And so I presume next issue we'll actually get some plot. But
I think the next issue is that cover that was teased of he has like Flashpoint Batman's on a horse and he's got Batman chained up, like tied up, and he's like leading him through a desert.
The other thing, I almost forgot, what I wanted to connect between this and Criminal is that there is a one point in this book where it's a 2-page splash of Batman on one side, and the other side is just like Bane and Catwoman and Psycho Pirate just there, while the captions recap, oh, this is what happened at that point in the arc or whatever. But like the art on the page, and it's like it's a good page, but it's just like, here's Batman staring down Bane. Okay,
that was from I Am Suicide, by the way.
Yeah, and it's not even like there's no action in the panel, and again, it's drawn well, but 2/3 of the page are nothing because Batman's all the way on this side and the other characters are all the way on this side, and there's nothing going on. There's no impressive landscape. It's just kind of just 2 pages wasted to so that the narration boxes can fill up space. And in comparison, it didn't ridiculously drag down the book like Naomi, like the last issue of Naomi, which I found incredibly.
Well, Naomi, we were talking multiple pages.
But in comparison to Criminal, there's a stark difference here as far as the storytelling skills of the creative team. And of course, Brubaker way more experienced than Tom King.
I was gonna say, but like Brubaker basically out-tore Master, especially when it comes to crime narrative at this point.
Yeah, and
Tom King
also for the past almost like decade, like literally 50% or more of Brubaker's projects have been with the same artist.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So it's a different thing, but I wanted to point that out. And now, as is often the case, Mike read some DC books, which we didn't.
Oh, finishing up on Batman, I do want to say I think it like we got that scene of Batman backed up against the painting or like the family portrait, right? Why does Thomas Wayne look like John Krasinski?
I don't know. I didn't notice that.
That's what I noticed, but as always, I think the art in this book is good though. But yeah, moving on to Deceased #2. This is kind of a filler issue. Aquaman gets attacked. This is actually like not terrible. It's not. They're not zombies. They're people affected by the anti-life equation. So they're just anti-life is what they are. Manifestations of pure anti-life.
Who becomes a Green Lantern? That was the clickbait article this time.
Oh, you want to know who becomes a Green Lantern? Dinah becomes a Green Lantern as Ollie and Dinah fight possessed Hal Jordan.
Okay.
They beat him, and then Black Canary becomes the new Green Lantern.
Okay.
Superman goes off to investigate as the Super Sons and Lois are left on the rooftop of the Daily Planet, and Superman rescues Dinah and Ollie. And then they get a message from Batman, who's in a containment suit, and he's like, "Hey guys, remember in the last issue, Nightwing and Tim Drake attacked me, so I'm infected, and I have about 15 minutes. Like, I got about 5 minutes before I go. So this is what I found. Also, Damian, there's this box here for you when you get here." And then Batman goes crazy, and Alfred shoots him and kills him.
Nice.
So Batman's dead.
You said Super Sons, so I guess this spins off in continuity before Bendis came on.
This is pretty much its own thing.
Yeah, I know, but like it would spin off around that point.
Yeah. But also, I think Black Canary and Green Arrow were on the Justice League in that first issue. So, I mean, it's Tom Taylor doing Tom Taylor stuff where he just does whatever he wants with his own little universe and pocket to play in. Art's really good for what that's worth. Justice League #25. It's a Year of the Villain prelude, but also the wrap up of this Sixth Dimension arc. So it's a twofer. I'm going to say this. I actually like this issue. I thought the story wrapped up nicely. I think the Year of the Villain setup is pretty cool, and I might actually end up staying on Justice League. Or I'd say if you guys also want to jump on Justice League, next issue would be the one to do it. But all of the Superman stuff by Jimenez is absolutely fantastic. I will say almost pick of the week just for the Superman sequences in this. Young Clark talking with Pa Kent, and then making a lantern on this like day of remembrance in Smallville, and then he's trying to teach John the same lessons. Superman's looking back on that as he's floating into this black void, as we are meant to think he's going to die. As the Justice League's battling the Sixth Dimension Justice League. At Batman, we all thought Batman double crossed the League in the last issues, but no, he didn't. He actually double crossed the World Forger and orchestrated it so the planet's suns line up in this sixth dimension for Superman. So he gets to get powered up by like 6 suns really, really fast, and he's able to break through. And he teams up with the Justice League and saves them. And the panel where Superman breaks through. It's like Superman's flying through and punching like this invisible wall, and he's got like John there, and he's got Pa Kent with him too, like in spirit helping him, and it's really, really cool. But the Justice League gets back and to find out, because remember Mixie was doing all this stuff while the Justice League was in the 6th dimension, and they found out that it was they learned from Mara and Starman that it was Lex Luthor who saved everything. So that's what kicks off the Year of the Villain. The public now distrusts the Justice League because the Justice League wasn't there to stop Nixie, and it was Lex Luthor who saved them and basically slanders the Justice League. So this sets up Year of the Villain. I'm excited. I'm always down for a good Lex plot. And remember, Vince, how we thought Lex kills himself in the Year of the Villain 1 like preview?
Yeah.
No, he's still alive. He basically had Brainiac have a clone body ready for him to jump into and back at the Legion of Doom base. So Lex is very much still alive and fully back to being like evil Lex Luthor, which I like. So that like this felt very much like what I want out of a Justice League book, where I got the villains planning their stuff. We got a showdown with the Legion of Doom happening, and everything's not connected to the Source Wall Totality stuff. So I might stick around for Year of the Villain. We'll see. But I liked how this story ended, but really I can't recommend the rest of it. Just because I hated 4/5 of it. So, yeah. But art by Jimenez is fantastic. Finishing out this week, Young Justice number 6 from Brian Michael Bendis. And I need the name of the artist because it's no longer John Timms is on art. This wraps up the arc in Gem World. Young Justice battles back. They return to their presence. Amethyst stays with them. She's also now banished from Gem World due to what went down there. And we get more of Connor Kent's backstory of how he ended up there. That's not his wife, and that kid that we all thought was his is not actually his kid. While he was there, this woman was like by the I can't remember the evil forces of Gem World, but they were bullying and this woman who they killed her father, who was her husband, who was a farmer, and Superboy stepped in and said it was his wife to protect her, so he stayed with her then, and helped her raise her kid. So and then Young Justice fights a giant castle that comes to life, and they get out, and Young Justice is back. Next issue, Tim Drake's going to get a new code name. I like this. It's fun. I felt like 6 issues was a little bit too long for the full arc. I would have cut this to 5, but yeah, I still like Young Justice. It's fun to see all these characters again still. But hey, that's it for this week. We didn't share our picks of the week. What were our picks of the week?
Criminal, probably.
Yeah, Criminal.
Criminal.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. It's either Criminal or Hulk Last Call for me.
Unanimous.
Yeah, I think, is that the first time that's happened?
Probably. Next time, Tales of Suspense number 54 and other things. Or I may have messed that up. It might be 53. Tune in next time to find out. Thanks for watching this one.
Some books you will see next week. We got Batman the Outsiders. Event Leviathan from DC kicks off, so we have that to look forward to. And so, yeah, we got some books to talk about next week. Also, Silver Surfer Black from Marvel.
Yep.
Fun stuff.
So, yeah, we got some books.